Welcome to Cornerstone Communicators Advanced Toastmasters Club. I'm David Fellops, the Sergeant at Arms. The video you're watching is entitled A Toastmasters Success Panel, and it is facilitated by Sue Burnett. Sue is working on the effective coaching pathway at level 5. This project is to moderate a panel discussion. In this video, Sue is talking with 3 members of Cornerstone Communicators, John Kendall, Patricia Radley and Anna Fitzmaurice, about their experiences as members of this club. Patricia and John have already been introduced, and we join the video as Sue is introducing Anna Fitzmaurice.
To our third panellist this evening, Anna Fitzmaurice. So please put your hands together for Anna Fitzmaurice.
Hello, good evening everyone. My name's Anna and I have been doing Toastmasters on and off for about 30 years. Yes, I am an addict. I love Toastmasters, so much so that when I came over from New Zealand, I couldn't join a Toastmasters club. They were all in London and I struggled to find one in Kent. So I got involved with Canterbury Communicators and helped found that club. And then whilst I was working at Pfizer's, I helped set up the corporate club there. And that I had some great corporate experience by being seconded into America. And at one of the sites at Pfizer, they had a Toastmasters club every day of the week, every lunchtime. Can you imagine that? So every lunchtime, I was able to go and have my feast of Toastmasters. And over the years, I've come in and out, you know, children changed jobs, moved countries, but I've always come back to something central globally, and that's Toastmasters, because it's an international community of like-minded people who are prepared to listen and not judge from all backgrounds and all cultures. And I just love it. It's one of the best things I've ever done, and I hope you will too.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Patricia, and thank you, John. So we've learnt a little bit about each of our panellists this evening, and as you can see, they are from very varied backgrounds. So let's have a look at some questions that can perhaps help us understand a little bit more about what brought them into Cornerstone. So let's start with Patricia. Patricia, what was it that attracted you to Cornerstone Communicators, Advanced Toastmasters?
I think it came along at the right time for me, which was at the start of lockdown, because I had visited the club once, I think, and I think we were doing a session on pathways, which I found really, really interesting. And I remember being scared when I came along first because I didn't realize it was an advanced club. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to be able for this. They're going to ask me a table topic. I'm not going to be at the level to answer it. And then I think I came to another meeting, and then I got a nice email from John Kendall asking me, I think his words were, "You seem to enjoy it here. Would you like to come along and join?" And I thought, you know what, why not? It was the start of lockdown and I had time on my hands. I wanted to visit more Toastmasters clubs. And also, I think I found I was getting used to my own club and it wasn't as much of a challenge for me anymore because I knew everybody there. Everybody had evaluated me. I had evaluated everybody, and I wanted to push myself a little bit more. And I think this was the next step of the pushing of my comfort zone. Joining Toastmasters had been a massive step for me. And this was the little extra bit, joining the advanced club, where I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen, but I was okay with that. And I was okay with the fact that there was going to be new things and I was going to have to volunteer for things that might scare me a little bit. But I was willing to do that, and that's why I joined, was to get a new challenge and to test myself and challenge myself a little bit more than I had been, because I'd gotten used to just being in my own club and the people around me. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Patricia. And John said something that made me think, and you've just touched on something about Zoom being so accessible for us. And I can remember also traveling with Graham Frost to Cornerstone in the early days. But I'm not going to dive into my story. I'm going to ask John what attracted him to Cornerstone Communicators specifically.
Well, let me step back. I joined Toastmasters to order to communicate better. And so I joined 2 clubs, which one was called Where, now called East Hearts. And they told me I could join an advanced club once I'd done 6 speeches. Well, I got there in 6 months, so that wasn't too bad. And so I joined because I found that I wanted to get better quickly, fast. I was not a young person joining Toastmasters. I didn't have that much time to waste. So that's why I wanted to join. I wanted to learn quickly. So I wanted to learn from other clubs, other good people. And once you've been in an area, somebody said, you've got 1 or 2 good people, the reliable people that can do the evaluations. But if you wanted variety, you had to go somewhere else. And the other thing about Toast, Cornerstones, was it has a mix of people providing different types of input, and they had different kinds of meetings that went outside the normal range of Toastmaster activities. Where else would you be asked to bring a pillow to lie on the ground before the meeting? I mean, that's not a normal meeting, and I'm talking physical meetings here. So it's for something extra, and the great contacts later on. Of course, it was a great place to meet fellow area directors, fellow presidents, because the people that got so high in their clubs wanted something more.
Thank you, John. I can remember Paul McKenna saying, successful people do things before they're ready. So I can begin to appreciate your experiences of having new experiences. Now, Anna, you've been a member of Cornerstone for quite a while now, and it sounds like you've had a rich and varied history of Toastmasters. So what was it about Cornerstone that drew you in? Because there are other advanced clubs out there, but you chose us, which we really appreciate.
I was fortunate to have met Nigel, who belonged to Burco, Burke Hampstead, where I was, and he mentioned up the road as Markyate having this club. And I went, oh, I've always wanted to join an advanced speakers club, because a few decades back, you had to had been quite far through the manuals and the courses to be accepted into some of the advanced speakers. Some of them were dining clubs and some of them were morning corporate clubs. So it was quite hard to find them in a location that suited me. But I do think the one theme that we're all realising is that being involved in more than one club gives you greater perspective, and that's what really you're looking for when you start to add more than one club into your time. And in particular, going to an advanced club where you know members are really looking to learn and push the boundaries from each other. And I think that's a really great learning opportunity to be in an advanced club. So.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Now let's have a look at some of the experiences that our members have gained since being a member. I'm going to go back to Patricia now, because she's at the, not necessarily at the top, but she's at the top of my screen. So Patricia, what experience have you had since you've become a member of Cornerstone Communicators?
Oh, so I've had so many. I think we did the book review meeting, which was excellent, and that was outside my comfort zone. We did the debating, which really was outside of my comfort zone. It was something that I think I had done in school because I had to do it. And it was something that would have, even a year ago, maybe 18 months ago, would have scared me so much to be involved in a debate and to be out there and to put a point of view across and then have to argue the point with somebody else. And I absolutely loved it. And it was a wonderful experience. And again, I think that was because it was something I was scared of and it was a challenge for me. And I think I've realized that I perform better sometimes when I'm a little bit scared about things. And my comfort zone is being pushed. And another thing that I really have enjoyed in Cornerstone is, and I don't think Clifford is here tonight, but Clifford's impromptu sessions on the 5th Monday, which started out, I think, midway through last year. And again, role playing and that kind of impromptu speaking where 2 people take on a role would have terrified me before, and I would have never voluntarily gone and done something like that. And if I was somewhere where it would have happened, I would have instantly wanted to leave. And the fact that when I was in Cornerstone, I was actually volunteering to come to this meeting. I was putting up my hands and saying, I'll do this, and not worried what the outcome was. So if I did really well, that was great. But if I went to say something and not much came out, well, I knew I was in a good environment, that I was supported. So I think definitely doing the book review, doing the debate, and doing the impromptu days that Clifford does on the Monday evenings are just 3 examples. And of course, there's many, many more doing different types of table topics, doing the open evaluations. There's just so many opportunities to push your boundaries and to challenge yourself.
Thank you, Patricia. Now, John, I know that you've probably had many experiences. Is there one particular experience that stands out for you out of all of the experience you've had with Cornerstone Communicators that you could share with us this evening?
I think it's terribly unfair that you're not asking Anna before me. Okay, anyway, I will answer the question. I do like improv, and we've been doing improv for a long time, you know, when it was physical meetings as well. And I used to pair up quite well with Tony Stead, and we used to bounce off each other. The unexpectedness of what one person will say and land you in, and then you have to work your way out. But probably the most amusing for me was with Bob Ferguson, and the impromptu then was moving furniture. We were 2 people trying to put a bit of furniture through a door that was too narrow to go. The twist was we weren't allowed to speak. That was one of the things I enjoyed. Another impromptu that I liked was pretending to ride a bicycle across the front of the stage and falling off and going backwards and being scripted by RFF to do all these things. He would be describing what I was doing before I did it on the bike, and that was also a challenge.
Thank you, John. Now, Anna, what experience have you had since you've been a member of Cornerstone that you can think of that are memorable?
Oh, I think you've had some really interesting guest speakers. We also did a comedy night, which was great fun, and we learned about writing comedy, and we did a session and got to practice, and everyone gave open feedback. So that was an interesting session where everyone let their guard down and tried to write some humorous bits and pieces. We also did a radio show. We had someone come down from the Milton Keynes Club who ran the radio, and we were able to do a mock show where one read the news, one read the adverts, one did interviews, and that was an interactive session that we did. So we did some really dynamic, totally different type of interactions. It was good fun.
Fabulous. Now let's look at how it's made a difference to our Toastmasters outside of Cornerstone, because we are here in this little bubble, but things happen outside of here because we have been in this bubble. Now I could go to Patricia first, but I'm going to reverse my wheel this time and go to Anna.
So from outside, you know, Toastmasters helps me in my professional life. I'm a solicitor, and I'm often caught on the hop having to give an impromptu advice or a response to something, and that's given me good confidence to talk about things and be able to raise questions with people, and generally help me professionally, as well as doing a lot of presentations. So to try and make the law more interesting when you're trying to explain legalities to someone, Toastmasters given me that edge to tell a story, to learn how to do an open body and close, to learn that too much material on a slide just won't work, and maybe just a single image and talking around the image. And the importance of storytelling and how people resonate and how that makes them recall or remember something. So I think that's really helped me professionally to do my job.
Thank you, Anna. Now let's go to Patricia for the same question. So how has being a member of Cornerstone affected life outside of the Cornerstone bubble?
I think so. It's really helped me in my work life in terms of, I wouldn't necessarily need to speak in public in work in terms of giving presentations, but it has increased my confidence in my ability to maybe deal with colleagues, deal with situations in work. In terms of dealing with management, I would have to deal with middle management a lot in my job, and that would have scared me a lot before. But I think it's given me the confidence to be able to walk into a manager's office and deal with any questions that they may ask me. And that's where the impromptu bit comes in, never knowing either when you pick up a telephone what somebody's going to ask you at the other end, and not being scared to answer it, or being able to say, look, it's okay, I don't know the answer, or being able to think on my feet in terms of what to say. And I can see we're coming into a period in my job now where there's lots of interviews coming up, and I really feel that it'll be my first time kind of interviewing for a role or a promotion within work whereby I have the Toastmasters experience behind me. And I hope it will stand me in good stead. But even from a preparation point of view, I'm not as nervous about the speaking part of the interview, or I'm not as nervous about the idea that they may throw something at me that I haven't prepared for. And I think that's down to Toastmasters and Cornerstone and the training that I've had in talking off the cuff and the impromptu speaking and just the opportunities to speak in general. So I think from a work perspective, I hope I know it will stand me in good stead in terms of being able to deal with whatever is thrown at me in the interview situation.
Thank you, Patricia. And John, what has Cornerstone done for you outside of the Cornerstone bubble?
I think the biggest thing it gives you is more confidence. You are working with people at a higher level with higher expectations, and that gives you more confidence when you're outside of the world. It gave me the confidence when I wanted to run for the higher levels within Toastmasters, which you won't get that much support in your own local club. You might have one person who knows about the higher structure if you want to follow that route, but it gets down to it, it's self-confidence.
Self-confidence. I'm sure that each and every one of us has gained more confidence being part of this amazing club. So let's look at what things in particular our panelists have enjoyed about Cornerstone. I'm going to go to Patricia for this one.
I think I've enjoyed the different variety of meetings, that every meeting that you go to isn't the same. So sometimes you come and there'll be 3 speeches and then there'll be the evaluations, and it's very much like a regular Toastmasters meeting. Then you'll come and you'll have a night like tonight where it's all about a panel discussion and hearing different people's experiences. There's the workshops, and I have never left a Cornerstones meeting yet where I haven't learned something either of value to me as a Toastmaster or just as value to me as a human being and as knowledge for myself. And I also enjoy the fact that I get to meet different people from different countries, different backgrounds, and different Toastmaster clubs, because before this and before I joined Cornerstone, my experience had been my one little club where I live. And that was the only experience of Toastmasters that I had. And I naively thought, coming into Toastmasters on Zoom when we got the experience to visit other clubs, that every club was going to kind of be the same because they were Toastmasters and don't they all follow the same pattern? And I realized that every club is different. And that's the beauty of Cornerstone, is that it's different and you get a different experience. And you'll attend tonight, but when you attend in 2 weeks, it'll be a completely different experience and something completely different will happen. And I always think with Cornerstone, it's prepare for the unexpected, because there's always something different and something that you're not going to expect in a meeting. And I like that because it keeps me on my toes.
Thank you, Patricia. And Anna, what in particular do you like about being a member of Cornerstone Communicators?
I think it's every time you come to a meeting at Toastmasters, you learn something new, either about the person you're listening to, or about yourself, or about some fact or information or personal anecdote they might share with you. So I think it's great. You get something out of it. You feel you've learned something. You feel you've listened to someone. You always get a warm fuzzy, I feel, after these meetings. And one of the most memorable meetings I've ever been to was a used car salesman back in my New Zealand club. And he used to bet on the horses. And he got out the betting tote book. And he explained all the little acronyms and everything and taught us all how to place a bet on the horses. I've never seen so many people who pick up their pen and paper and start to learn how to place a bet at the bookies on the horses. So that it was very entertaining how he told us, and how you have to read the book and understand the acronyms and then go up to the gate and how to do odds. And it was an absolute fascinating speech. It was absolutely hilarious. And I'll never forget that we all learned how to do it. It's good fun.
That's amazing. Thank you. And John, what in particular do you like about being a member of Cornerstone Communicators?
Particularly about Cornerstones is it's the breadth of people, breadth of experience. For instance, we once had a session when there used to be, I think, like 15 different advanced manuals, and in that room there was somebody who'd done each of those manuals. So that was the breadth of experience we had. So you could rely on somebody who could answer your question about Toastmastery issues where you won't get an answer so easily elsewhere. So it's a great bank. I refer to Cornerstones as a little university of Toastmasterism. If you want to know anything, there'll be somebody in Cornerstones that can tell you the answer.
Thank you, John. Someone was asking me the other day about where they could potentially find a mentor that could stretch them. And I think they were inferring that they couldn't get that from their home club, which I think you alluded to earlier. So let's look at what life is like now. You're a member of Cornerstone. So let's go to Patricia for this answer.
So Sue, now I'm a member of Cornerstone for about a year, maybe a little bit over, and I definitely would think I'm a more confident person. I am not afraid of a challenge, and I find, and what I think is interesting, I find I have to almost stop myself from putting my hand up and saying I'll do that, whereas before I would nearly have to force myself to put my hand up and put myself forward to do something. And I think Cornerstone has helped me do that. It's helped me be enthusiastic about being a Toastmaster. It's helped me be enthusiastic about learning new skills and not being afraid to try something and not like it. We're all not going to like everything, and that it's okay to try something, and that if I do make a mess of it, that you're in a supportive environment, that nobody is going to judge you or nobody is going to think any less of you. They will just support you, and maybe the next time you'll try it, you'll do a little bit better. And I also, it's alluding to what John said there, is that if I need to do something in maybe another club or in other roles that I've taken on, there is always somebody that you can bounce an idea off and ask them about it. If it's about when I was president, just throwing out a difficulty I might have had, or an area director, there's somebody that walked that path before and probably had that issue before in being a president or an EVP or an area director, and they can share their solutions with you, or they can help tease it out. So I think it's given me a lot of of resources to pull from, and not just from doing my speeches and that kind of perspective. It's learning about how to deal with people in the as an officer as well. So I'm very grateful for that.
That's useful to know. Thank you for sharing. And what about you, John? What is life like for you now? Because you've been a Cornerstone member for some time.
I don't understand what your questions are after. Sorry.
Well, I'm thinking about where you were before you became a Cornerstone member and where you are now, because a lot of a passage of time has happened. So I'm fairly confident that you're a different person to what you were before you joined.
Okay. Well, I get phone calls from people asking me how to do things. And the nickname, the Oracle. So that is different. And it happens that my wife noticed it's often ladies that phone me and ask me questions about Toastmastery things. I think there's a little jealousy slipping in there, but it's the family, the connectiveness, another world. And we saw another side to that with Violet, who sadly passed. And she was part of a bigger family, and she had a wide experience, and she was a Cornerstone member we lost tragically over Christmas. It's a bigger family that wraps around you.
Thank you, John. It is like being part of a family. We have a Cornerstone family here. And I'm going to now ask our panelists if they were to recommend one thing to someone who's thinking about becoming a member of Cornerstone, what would that one thing be? Patricia.
So if I was to recommend one thing to somebody that was thinking about being a member of joining Cornerstone, I would say just sign the form and do it and become a member, because I was scared before I joined. And I think the day that John sent me the email, I kind of thought, oh, I better do it because I mightn't get another opportunity. So I would say just do it. And if you're afraid, so what? You're among friends and you learn so much that it will be worthwhile, and you will find yourself far more confident and far more willing to push your boundaries at the end of it. So just sign up and do it, I think, would be my advice to anybody that's on the fence and thinking about it.
Thank you, Patricia. And Anna, what would you say? What would you recommend to our audience?
Yeah, I think take a leap of faith and don't worry about getting it wrong. You know, many times people join and they might get a bit of stage fright, but it doesn't matter, because Toastmasters is a family, like we've all been saying. It's extremely supportive. So it doesn't matter whether you get up and go, I'm not comfortable and I want to sit down. We're going to praise you for that. We're going to applaud you. We're going to go, well done for standing up and even saying, I'm not ready, because that's all part of the important learning for all of us, that sometimes we don't know what we're doing. Even at competition level, I have gone into a competition and the title of the humorous speech was something very obscure, and it threw me. And I had to just sit down and go, I'm so sorry, I can't complete. But you know what? I learned from that. I then learned, you know what? I could have done that differently. So it was the failure is a learning experience. So don't be scared, because we're all going to support you regardless of what you do.
Thank you, Anna. And is there one thing that you could recommend to our audience that's thinking about joining tonight? Okay.
What I would say to you, if you want to go far in Toastmasters, if you want to get the leadership side of it, Cornerstones is a great place to join. A third of our members are DTM, that's the communication side. Probably 2/3 of our members are at least club officers, and I would say over half have been area directors, and probably a third have been division directors within our club. So there's a huge wealth of knowledge there and experience to help you if you want to do that sort of side of Toastmasters. That leadership skills are there ready to help you climb the tree if you so want to.
Thank you, John. That's great to know. We've heard a lot from our panelists this evening, and they've given us a lot of information about various different aspects of Cornerstone and how it's helped them improve their successes in life. And I'm going to open up now to the floor to see if there's any questions that our audience would like to ask any of our panelists. I can't see all the faces at the moment, so I'm just looking to see if there's any hands going up, but I can't see them. Can someone be a spotter for me?
Justin has his hand up.
Justin. So Justin, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask our panelists a question.
Yeah, so thank you very much indeed. It's a pleasure to hear about your experiences in Cornerstone Toastmasters Club, and I want to wish you all the very best and all the success. One of the quotes that I do recall in terms of success is actually, it's a lovely one. It says, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you will be successful. So my question to the panelists is, what has made you happy in your Toastmasters experience? Is there one particular situation that you found yourself in that's really, has been really special for you?
John.
And I'll ask, let me pick on someone. John Kendall, what would you say?
Okay, I most enjoy improv. It's where else would you get a chance to have that kind of interaction with somebody else, and you play them along and see what happens. It's a great experience.
Thank you, Justin. And thank you, John. I can see Coralie's hand up. So Coralie.
Yes, hello everybody. I enjoyed hearing John talk about his greatest successes in Cornerstones, and I actually remember the sketch where John and Bob Ferguson were trying to get this piece of furniture through a narrow opening without speaking. And I also remember John trying to ride a bike while he was having to follow the voiceover of another club member. And I have to say, on both occasions, he brought the house down. I wish we had been recording. John, how are you going to follow this up? And are you going to do workshops on impromptu? Because obviously you are very skilled in this area.
It's a very directed question. I enjoy it. I never thought about it. It's an idea that you planted and it may bear seeds.
Thank you. Well, with all that being said, I think I'll make that the last question, because I can see we're almost on time and I don't want to be greedy with the time. So let's put our hands together for our fantastic panelists tonight, Patricia, John and Anna. They have been amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you, Patricia, Anna and John, for a very insightful, entertaining panel discussion. Well done.